State media confirmed that the 86-year-old leader had been killed after initially denying reports of his death. A senior Israeli official told Reuters Khamenei's body had been found. And Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Khamenei was no longer alive.
For 3.5 decades, this tyrant dispatched terrorism across the world, made his own people miserable, and worked constantly and tirelessly on a program to annihilate the state of Israel. That plan is there no longer, and there are many signs that this tyrant is also no longer.
Netanyahu also said Khamenei's compound had been destroyed, and Revolutionary Guard commanders and senior nuclear officials had been killed.
They will never have a nuclear weapon.
In an early morning address, Trump said the strikes on Iran were aimed at ending a security threat, and he called on Iranian security forces to lay down their weapons and invited the Iranian people to topple their government once the bombing ended.
When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations.
Iran called the U.S.-Israeli strikes unprovoked and illegal. Tehran responded to the attacks with missiles fired at Israel and at several Gulf Arab allies of the United States that host American bases.
I don't see a diplomatic off-ramp.
Burcu Ocelik is a senior research fellow for Middle East security at Britain's Royal United Services Institute.
It's a huge gamble for all of the sides involved. There are many unknowns and unknowables in this scenario. It's a gamble for President Trump because there could be significant political costs for him. In the tragic event of U.S. casualties, there will be a public backlash against that in the United States. We're already hearing about why Congress hasn't been involved in the decision-making process behind launching this offensive. There's a gamble for Israel. We do not yet have a sense of what damage Iran could do on Israel and its citizens, although thus far it has been limited. And it's a gamble for Iran, certainly.
Explosions from Saturday's strikes caused widespread panic across the region. Eyewitness video showed heavy damage at a school in southern Iran, where dozens of people were reportedly killed in an Israeli airstrike. Reuters could not immediately confirm the death toll. A separate video showed the moment of a strike near a U.S. Navy base in Bahrain. But after confronting hundreds of Iranian missile and drone attacks, the Pentagon said there were no U.S. deaths or injuries. In Israel, sirens sent people rushing to shelter as Iran launched a series of missiles. Loud booms sounded in Abu Dhabi, and several blasts were heard.
Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutation to your brothers pushing us with sincerity and truth. Brother, I sat back at you with another lesson we're going to define. You know, and the US/Israeli/Iran war. You know, because all of these things that we are seeing is all along the aspects of prophecy. As the scriptures say, and ye shall see wars and rumors of wars, because I just went up on the Google and, you know, because the Spirit had me to type in, you know, it's like, for the past 5 years, it's been recorded the most amount of world conflicts, wars and cold wars and all these things, you know, since I think it's World War II or World War I, right? You know, because there's a reason why all of this is happening right now, because we're living in the end time, the end mean manifest. So all these things that you see taking place, because they look, for instance, the Iranians shutting down, you know, the waterway where these ships and whatnot, you know, do the trade of oil and whatnot, and and whatnot to to carry goods from other to other parts of the world and whatnot. They shut it down due to war. So we know that that's gonna have a backlash on prices. Certain countries ain't gonna be able to get goods, the oil, the energy. So hey, everything has a like a domino effect, right? Because war is a major way. It's easy to bring in famine. It's easy to bring in great perilous time and calamity through war. And that is what the Lord doing. The Lord stirring it up. That is why it happened that the Iranian leader, he was deleted, because the Lord put in Babylon the Great on that high stature for a great fall, and that's what's happening. The spoiler, he's still, because all of this is he would have healed Babylon, but she's not healed. So all of this here that he is doing, it's just bringing in the prophecy, that the nations them they go in and hate the whore until the result, the end all be all result that they send nukes upon Babylon. Because hey, if the hammer the earth, they could do it. If they could do it, send missiles and deleted a lot of guards, the leader, Iran, send missiles upon, nuclear bases. You even see schools, bombed up, civilians. I'm sure civilians have been deleted, and the thing about it, they controlling the media, so there's a lot of stuff that's happening that they don't get out. So we'll get into a bit of precept, but I had a next video to play as well, because is to show you always seen as fire and smoke. Going back into the precept in the book of Isaiah, the 9th chapter, concerning the wars that in these time how it's gonna be. And let's get it. Right? The book of Isaiah 20, Isaiah 9 and verses 5. It says, for every battle of the warriors is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood. Right? Because back then you would have seen, men with the current weapons that they have, the swords, the shields, these slings, and all these different machineries that it had in the ancient times for war, but now in this time now, as knowledge increased and weapons are indignation and wasters to waste and these things, with all these technologies, the splitting of the atom, these nuclear scientists and things that it have in these times, is missiles and bombs, and this is what the war is being about, and drone strikes and these things. So it say, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. And what is that we see? We seen fire, we seen smoke, we seen burnings. Look at that mushroom cloud in the skies. And we know that these here is just little ballistic missiles and whatnot, right? And here it says, Trump says the U.S. Israeli strikes to what? To continue, right? Yeah, because this man is the devil, the scriptures, he puffeth at his enemies, They puff at the enemies, right? They don't, and that is it, you know. The Lord is putting on that spirit of that cruel Lord over Babylon. There's a certain reason is to fulfill prophecy, right? It's all to fulfill prophecy. Right? Hey, how to bring this second Ezra chapter 9 and verses chapter 3. It said, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand the Most High spake of these things from the day that were before thee, even from what the beginning to the prophets. For like as all that is made in the world had a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So all these things that we see in is just the manifestation of the end of this man's kingdom, right? Yeah, because what we've seen happening is what? This man's kingdom is just being divided, you know? And that's Yapa, as I mentioned that, so we ought to bring that precept out. Because a kingdom divided, it's not going to be able to stand. This is the book of Matthew chapter 12 and verses 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. You know, so all these different rulers, you know, prime minister, presidents and whatnot all over the world, they have the different thoughts, they have the disagreements and all these things, you know, and what's going to happen is obvious offer that there would be war, there would be conflict, because this one, the scripture say, can two walk together unless they agree? So just as for instance, so that war in Iran is because now they're making that stupid deal again rid of all the, you know, nuclear researches, all the uranium, you know that soon testable to build nuclear bombs and these sorts of things. Since they want to get that, they're going down with Trump. The two of them not agreeing, it resulted into a war. And it's that the devil typical way. Well, these men are threat. As look what Netanyahu say. You know, they has always, you know, was improvising a way to destroy the Israeli state, and this man is a tyrant and all these things. Same thing like what they did it, as the scripture talk about them, that they need to keep it at home, you know. Yeah, they don't keep at home, they oppress a man, you know, so they would leave their own country and go straight out to across the corner of the world to impose a war, to impose their democracy, to bring war, to destroy with the sword, because they realize, well, you are not in agreement with them, you're not being in the same mind as them. So it's saying, if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? You know, yapa. So there's just as how, you know, the ancient Roman Empire fell. There was a lot of divisions, you know. This little thing from Google here, it says recent data indicates that the last 5 years, roughly 2021 to 2026, have witnessed the highest number of active state-based armed conflicts, right, since the end of World War II in 1946. As of early 2025, over 60 active conflicts were recorded, reflecting a significant structural increase in global violence rather than a temporary spike. Right? Key trend in global conflict 2020 to 2025: highest intensities since 1946. The number of armed conflict has consistently broken records, with 2023 seeing 59 conflicts and 2024 61. Surge in violence. Global conflict has nearly doubled in the past 5 years, with approximately 50 countries experiencing extreme high or turbulent level of conflict. High intensity conflict, roughly 60% of current conflicts are considered high intensity, a significant rise from previous years. International involvement. Conflicts have become more internationalized, with 92 countries involved in fighting outside their borders as of June 2024. And that is where it is, because the vision pursuant to the Zephaniah, even the Joel, Zephaniah mentions, my determination is to gather the nations. And this is where you see, that is why the upper that it mentions what? That conflicts have become more internationalized, with 92 countries involved in what? Fighting outside their borders, because the prophecy speaks about and bring them into the valley of Jehoshaphat in the Middle East. Right? Because there's a great war, World War III, that is about to come. There's a great war that's gonna happen, prophesied of in the scriptures, by the prophets of old, Prophet Jeremiah, the prophet Isaiah, they speak of these things. The book of Joel, it's just really happy to see that all these things are just coming together and it's making shape. It's to show that the Lord's word not returning void. Right? I'm gonna bring that as a Zephaniah. Right? Because that is the vibration. The scripture talk out the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, and he move it to whatsoever he would as the rivers of water. Just roughly paraphrasing. Because the Lord is directing all of their minds in that vibration of war. The Lord is heavily putting strength and control on Donald Trump to be in that mindset. The scripture in Isaiah mentions how he can raise up the chief kings of the earth. So all them warlike spirit that these nations, rulers and whatnot had on them in the days of old, that's coming back. That's coming back. Because of Zephaniah, okay. 3 and 8. Therefore wait ye upon me, said the Lord, until the day I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations. So all of this right here, these conflicts and whatnot, is gathering of the nation in that warlike mindset, that I may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them mine indignation, and even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. And why it mentions fire? Because nuclear missiles, ballistic missiles, and that is what we're seeing, because these ballistic missiles and whatnot, is like, if the target in this building would be blown up. By that time to come, it would be cities being blown to nothing. Yeah. You see that video just now with that little strike hit and concrete turn into dust in the air, to powder in the air. And that is to show you the power. You know, the scripture call them weapons of indignation, and these are at low level missiles and whatnot. So far more for the atomic bombs and nuclear missiles and these things, the kind of devastation these things would do. In the book of Joel chapter 3, Joel chapter 3 and verses 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, all ye heathens. Prepare war. What's happening? Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. That's what's happening. They are coming up, they're drawing near. They're coming up, they're drawing near. You don't think these other nations aren't looking up on Babylon and seeing her flexing her muscles and oppressing other nations and whatnot? You know? You think these nations not looking up on that? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They're keeping a close eye right now on Babylon until she gets overboard and gets carried away, because she tell herself that, she lifts up herself with her pride in her brigandine, her defense system, a vast and mighty swift military that as the scripture says, she sits as a queen and she have never been touched. O virgin daughter of Babylon, right? Let's see. Let all men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your sword, beat your plowshare and the sword. Heavy investments are your monetary into nuclear arms, into aircraft carriers, into fighter jets, even defense systems, dome systems, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come up, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about hither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, the valley of decision, for there will I sit and judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. That time has come. Right? Come get you down, for the press is full. Your time of reign is come to an end. Your time of your dominance has come to an abrupt stop. And that's what's actually gonna happen soon. Right? Because we know in a few months' time it's gonna enter into 250 years of Babylon empire, independence, it's ruling, power, and we know 250 years is like a deadline for empires rule. So we know that they ain't gonna have no big long set of time off hereafter, right? Yeah. And it's to show you that Babylon bearing rule, because let's look on all the nations. Which nation currently right now is making a lot of moves, going into countries with the sword, taking down leaders by force. You ain't see Russia going into other countries, on a mass scale. Well, I mean, there's Ukraine and Russia war and whatnot, but you ain't seen Russia going to all corners of the world, coming with his way, and he find you's a tyrant, and he gonna take you out, and you ain't seen that happening neither China. I mean, yeah, there's a conflict with Taiwan and whatnot, but you ain't seeing, and there's a reason why these things are happening, right? You ain't seeing China coming out, well, to the four corners of the earth and bullying this one, killing this leader, sending nukes here. Hey, it's you, Babylon, in the spotlight, and that's for a reason, because your end is coming, your end is coming. So hey, hopefully this lesson was edifying. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutation to you, Archean, pushing this word in sincerity and in truth. Until the next, Shalom.